What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Rant, the first back again with another video. As you guys already know, we got the Attack on Titan, Shingeki no Kyojin. I'm still going to be doing content of Attack on Titan on this channel. Whenever I feel like it, I'll just do it and drop it for y'all, for the Attack on Titan people that, fuck with it or don't like it. Anybody can view it. Or if you haven't watched it already yet, stay tuned for your boy. But I'm going to be talking about the very controversial 8 pages, additional pages for the manga, right? So a lot of people are either they hate it even more or they like it even more. And both of those things don't even make sense, right? Because the initial chapter gave everything that we've seen in this chapter. This chapter was just merely an extension of it, but we already knew exactly what was going down by the end of the last chapter. We've seen Eren, of course, he's dead. Boom, the aftermath of that. No more Titans, no more curse on the Eldians. And then eventually we've seen that Armin was he's advocating for peace years later in the 3-year time skip. That's what he's going to go do. And they're, and Reiner, Annie and them, they're all going with him and doing that in that regard. And then you have Historia back in Parody, as the queen, trying to take her position and do what she needs to do to ensure that Parody has a future. Boom. And then you see that there's other Eldians that are starting to strengthening and reinforcing the military as a whole so that they can go and basically defend themselves or go out to attack other nations, say if they do retaliate against them. So we knew that. In this chapter, basically, these additional 8 pages basically just showed it to us, even though we already knew how things would work, since it's a conflict. Human conflict is something that's always going to exist, no matter what. In real life and storytelling, technically, human conflict is going to always come back. A story can end with characters and their story arcs, what Isayama has done. But in terms of like the future and their kids and etc., it's going to keep on happening, or new conflict is going to appear. So we already knew that. But Isayama nonetheless made this 8 additional pages, and it honestly doesn't do anything for the last chapter. It just reinforces everything that the last chapter had conveyed. But let me just kind of read over it again, the 8 additional pages, so I can just go over little things as I go along. So start out with this panel that we seen in the initial chapter. I am Armin Arlet, an Eldian of Parody Island, and I'm the one who killed the Attack Titan Eren Yeager. We already seen that. Now we're going into Mikasa's conversation with Ymir, or I guess you could say one-sided conversation, because Ymir didn't say anything. She has Eren's head still. She's talking to Ymir. She says, "So it was you, the one viewing the world through my eyes all this time. I think your love was that of a long nightmare. The past lives will never return." And then you see Ymir, looks like she's regretting something. Boom, you see it zooms in her eye in that little slight panel. And then Mika says, "But thanks to the lives you gave birth to, here I now stand." And in this panel, you can see Ymir is thinking of the possibility or scenario rather, if the king had died and she didn't protect him, and she's there with her children. We know that her idea of love was all fucked up, And her seeing Mikasa and Eren's love, and Mikasa can kill Eren to stop him from doing what he was doing, in short, in her eyes, it gave her a new perspective that she just never had. Another thing people have to think about, basically, what I'm about to say now, is that Ymir, when she died, right, there's really no kind of growth within her character. The only thing was that she had this tremendous power in the Titans. That's the only thing she had, and she was still a slave, mentally and physically. And when she died, there's no room for her to grow. She couldn't have grown. Yes, she's watching everybody and every move, but it's been over 2,000 years, and nothing was able to get to her, because she does not exist in the living world as like a physical being. She's in the past, so she has no room to actually grow and have life to experience that kind of growth. So it was a lot different for her. She had to do these things and get people that exist in the real life so that she can get to this point with Mikasa and Eren and everybody else that played their part in the story. So that's how that worked out. And then, as you can see, she's hugging her children, and it gets to a closer look at her hugging her children and crying as the king is in the background dead. And now she's realizing, like, her love really was towards her family, her children. The king, that was just all that shit. Because even there's a panel too, if I can find it, I'll put it up. But there's a panel a while back when we first seen Ymir, her backstory. She was looking at 2 people kissing, and you can see her eyes, how she was looking at those people. Her concept of love was like literally just that, kind of. You know, her concept of love was very surface level, very kid-like. So she honestly never truly understood it ever. And like I said a second ago, she never had time to experience that because she was dead. And all she lived in her life was to serve the king and serve and do what she needed to do for him and the Eldians at that time, her people. And for years, she kept doing the same thing, serving the king. Ideally, Zeke was like the king because he has royal blood. And she's serving him and through serving him, just like through the king, she's serving the Eldian people. And that's exactly what happened, okay? Now, next, we see she says, Mikasa says, rest in peace, Ymir. She walks away. We've seen this panel in the initial chapter. Then there's a time skip. It's showing Mikasa with her husband. Whether or not it's John, I don't give a fuck. I don't even know why people are debating about. That's like the biggest thing people are debating about. I don't give a fuck. You can like her or dislike it. I don't care. I don't have no opinion on it because I really don't give a fuck. That's all. But yeah, you see her with her husband and her child going to Aaron's grave, putting some flowers down. And then you see another little time skip. You see the buildings in the background starting to become more modern as the time is going by. We see cars. And it's starting to look a little similar to how Marley was. I would say maybe slightly more advanced because it's not necessarily brick housing unless Isayama just didn't draw that in detail or like close up because this is kind of like out. It's mostly focusing on the trees, and then with that being kind of the buildings being kind of the sub focus in the whole picture, in the whole panel. But you see Mikasa, she's older. You see the wheelchair behind her. She has a cane. She's with I believe that's still her husband right there. And then she has her children and her grandchildren. So she has her family there. So she visits them on certain occasions. And I see people that say like, oh, yeah, and then Mikasa is just visiting Eren like all the time. Like, we don't know that. She probably just visits him, like maybe it could be his birthday for all we know. She visits him when she wants to, you know, to remember him. I'm sure she probably does that with a lot of her friends if they're all dead at this point, which of course a lot of them would be dead, you know, especially the older people like Levi or Onyon Compone, you know, those kind of people too. But yeah, we can see that obviously she's visiting Eren's grave, and she likes to do that, and she likes to come with her family because Eren was definitely the savior of humanity. So if she knew this guy, she was in love with this guy, you know, she's one of the closest people to him with Armin. So it's like, of course she's gonna visit him, and he saved the world. Like, why not? You want your kids to learn about that. You would have to, like, so it's good that she does that. And you can see she puts down her last flower, and then you can see in the next panel, it looks like she's in her grave. She has flowers around her, so she died peacefully, which is a token to show that peace actually was achieved, just like Eren said in the last chapter. Well, not the last chapter, but, you know, the initial chapter 139, he told Armin that you guys, that basically the rest of the world, they won't attack you guys. They won't. They can't retaliate no time soon. So it's going to be in the future when that happens. He told us that, the audience, he told them that. We already knew that. So that's why I'm saying the additional chapters is not new. We knew that already. Human conflict, we knew that. This is Attack on Titan. Of course it's going to keep happening. We've seen shit happen in the past and in the future and in the present. We know that's going to happen. This is Attack on Titan. We know that. It's not going to be peace there forever. We just like real life. We know that already. It's inevitable. That's common sense. That's really common sense right there. But, of course, people just read with their eyes closed. So, I mean, hey. Yeah, I'm throwing shots. I don't care because it's just very nonsensical what a lot of people have been talking about and arguing about. It's always just people echoing the same shit that somebody else said, and it doesn't do anything for them as a collective. It doesn't. And you could be debunked time and time again, yet you just keep on, keeping on. But hey, I digress though. Next panel, you can see the buildings are getting more modern. We have skyscrapers now. So that's a token to show that this is even further down the line in the future. And parity is getting destroyed. Parity is getting destroyed. And now people are making assumptions like, oh, well, parity got attacked by the rest of the world. Okay, if it did happen, it does. Eren said it might end up happening. He said they can't retaliate now, but they can in the future. So it's up to Armin. Armin even told Eren, I won't let your efforts go to waste. From what I've seen from Armin's lifetime, if Mikasa and her family still existed, and until she was an old age, it looks like they were peaceful, very peaceful. So Armin did his thing, and everybody else who advocated for peace did their thing too. What happened afterwards is whatever. Yes, war is going to come back no matter what. Whether it was through the Titans or through resources or power, it's going to happen no matter what. So that's another thing people got to understand. And a lot of people try to make the argument that Aaron should have just pretty much just annihilated 100% of all the lands and nations outside parity. If he were to do that, there would be no way possible for them, if they needed to explore out and get resources, food, tools, medicines, anything for them. There could be diseases and viruses that break out in parity, a lack of a certain food that they need, some treatment of herbs and medicine, tools and resources to make things to help to enable them to fight, possibly fight against other countries, or just to keep themselves good, shelter, infrastructure, buildings, anything, resources altogether, anything, necessities, anything. They're going to need to go outside of other countries or meet other countries so they can import those type of things here, right? So they're going to need and technology altogether. They're going to have to make negotiations, make peace treaties, and make deals to trade things and all of that. Write on documents for certain things, sign off for certain things. But we can't do none of that, and we can't have this modern type of place in parity if all the goddamn people are done for and all the lands are destroyed and annihilated and all the other nations in the world. We would eventually die out too, because how are we going to end up getting all the shit that we need to enable us to have that longevity, to live a long time? As we can see here, they lived a long time. Our characters did, and that's the most important thing. We wanted to see our characters' arcs end. We knew that it was going to be in inevitability that war is going to come back, okay? Whether or not it was going to be in our character's lifetime or after. We know our characters' arcs ended. It ended. This is just showing what was happening afterwards, which Isayama didn't have to show, because we know that it's common sense once again. But hey, I digress, because people don't understand that. But as you can see, they're destroying parity, they're destroying all the buildings. Now the next panel is even further down in the future. You see the buildings are destroyed and stuff. I mean, yeah, it could be a little after, but even if you notice, look at how the buildings are destroyed. It looks like they've been there for a while. They're kind of stationed inside of the ground now. You see the hills are growing kind of over it, or not over it, but like growing into it and all that. And you see the tree in the background. Next panel, the tree's big as hell. The tree is bigger than all of them trees there. I wonder how many meters that tree is. That tree is big as hell. Okay, boom, we got the tree there. It's still there. It never got destroyed. It never got destroyed. Now you're seeing the planetary life, or the plant life, growing all over the buildings. Another token to show that time is going by. There's ruins here. We see hills. We see more mountains, hills. We see trees everywhere. It's a forest now. And we see, if we go back early on when he first got buried there, it was just a little ass hill. Now we see hella hills, mountains, trees, everything. So that's way down the line. And now we see this boy with his dog here, which people are saying that he looks like he's Mikasa's descendant. Whether or not, it doesn't really matter if he is or not. This is a descendant. This is a descendant from years later. It could be hundreds of years later. Seeing how big the tree is, seeing how all these ruins are here, all the greenery everywhere, the trees, plants, all that shit. And we've seen, like, for the last 5 panels, it's been time skip. In 2 panels, we've seen Mikasa as like an adult, maybe in her 30s or 20s. And then next, we see her like in her fucking 80s, 90s or some shit. She's old. Sorry about that. I had to answer the call real quick. But yeah, I edited that out. But anyway, we see Mikasa's son here, like I was saying. We see the trees here and all that shit. We see all of that. We see the ruins, everything, right? And then in the final panel, we see the boy. He's looking at the tree, and this is obviously Aaron's tree. It got big as hell. You see, it opens up. So Aaron / the worm, I guess they're pretty much infused with each other. Or if not, he's still the founding titan technically, or the founder, because we don't know the power. If say the boy does come in contact with Aaron or the worm or whatever, who's to say that the power won't even be a titan? What if it's something completely different? What if it's a whole different power, right? It could be an entirely different power within there, because with Ymir, obviously her power, she manifested that into Titans, into the monstrosity of Titans, because she was in distress. Her desires were to escape the life that she was in. It was due to violence and oppression and all that shit that she experienced. And that's exactly what happened when she went into the tree, fell into the tree, and got attached to that life form. Obviously, the Titans had basically were birthed from that, from her wanting an undying body, from her and all of her pain and suffering all together was cultivated into that. And now with this boy, we don't know. He looks like he's in shock at seeing the tree. He looks very adventurous in this sense. And from what he's wearing stuff that's very similar to what we've seen people, our characters wearing stuff. Looks like he got some weapons on. I think he got a gun on his back. He got some stuff, right? But it might be entirely different. And it's just left to our interpretation, whether or not, or our predictions, whether or not the series continues and there's a sequel to it. Who knows? This is Isayama ending it right here. He's leaving it at that. If his magazine wants to continue that, Isayama is leaving it right here, right now. He's leaving it at that. If you want to continue it, I gave you some leeway to do that, but I'm done with the series. I'm ending it. My people, my fans are, they deserve to, see the series with their characters having their story arcs over with, which I like so much, because say if the characters are all still alive and this was just, barely a few years later down the line, we would have seen the characters again and to see more stuff. We don't want to see that. We don't. So if a sequel does happen, like, I don't really want that to happen, but I don't mind it because of the fact that Isayama knows that he's done with the story, so he can just give it to them to go do whatever they want. And the fact that he let our characters have their story arcs end, so we can be very much, satisfied with that, and we can go on with our days and our lives, and just chill out and just reread what we've seen from all the shit that we watched, right? So that's good, and I like how he ended. Like, that's very smart on his behalf, in my opinion. But of course, this is just me thinking if there is a sequel and just his direction with these additional pages. But like I said early on in the video, this doesn't change shit from the chapter at all. It doesn't change a damn thing. It don't change shit. From the initial chapter, it doesn't change nothing. Isayama said it didn't. I read it. What does it change? Just that we've seen the future. That's all. Obviously, we've seen Eren say at the end of that chapter, or not the end of the chapter, he said in the chapter of Armin that they're not going to retaliate yet. He's saying that there's a chance that they can, but they're not going to retaliate right now or anytime soon. We've seen this shit it was literally a modern society with skyscrapers. We don't know how long that's been. It could be 100 years. It could be more. We don't know. So I'm just saying that, like, Eren, and plus another thing I want to get into, which I have said, I think in my analysis video /rant, and I'll pretty much like kind of end it discussing this part, and then briefly I'm going back to Eren. But what we've seen from like, a lot of people are trying to say that, right, that the ending, that Eren should have just decimated 100% of all the nations and stuff, right? And I already talked about it earlier, and then some people are saying, oh, well, maybe Zeke's plan would have been the best plan. But you guys got to remember, Zeke's plan, yes, it does make it so that the Eldians cannot have children anymore. So he's sterilizing them. That's true. But what is stopping these nations from still going out and attacking them? What's the difference between that and Eren running away with Mikasa in that, like, that alternate, the alternative timeline or universe, the scenario pretty much? What changes that? They don't have kids. Oh, what? Prove it, and we wait 9 months. Like, no, the rumbling's gonna have to happen anyway. Then at that point, and then if it does happen and they do destroy 100%, where's all the resources? Where's all the lands? What's anything out there when the island people when the Parody Island needs to go out and explore for shit? There ain't gonna be shit for them. So then they're gonna die out either way. In this, we can see, obviously, there's a child that still exists. We don't know how many other people are still there. Maybe people migrated to other places. Maybe they left before they completely could be destroyed. Life multiplies. We learned that in chapter 137 with Zeke in the Armin's conversation. Life multiplies. We know that. So the Eldians, they're not going extinct. We see that. We see that they achieve peace for that time being. We've seen that. But realistically, and within the story, we know that peace is not something that's going to be there forever. So all the false narrative saying that Isayama just, like, put Eren's goals and achievements for nothing, it don't make no sense. It doesn't make any sense. I want somebody in the comments to explain to me how, if you disagree with me, I want you to explain to me how does Eren's plan and what Eren did and what everybody else did and Mikasa to kill him and all that, how does that make Eren, everything that Eren did, specifically, especially him, all go to waste? When he even said that it needs to be done like that. That's the only way. It is the only way for it to be done. There's no other way. There's none. There's no other way for Eren to finish this story, of this conflict, other than doing this so that it can enable people, his people in the future, to do what they need to do to maintain whatever they can. But it's not going to be like that forever. We know that. We've seen quotes, we've seen conversations throughout the series with characters, Eren and Pixis. We've seen Erwin's, his shit, the shit he said. We see so many characters and just their ideologies and all of that. We've seen it. Zeke, everybody. We've seen all of their philosophies and ideologies, right? And we see what could happen and what couldn't happen for a lot of these characters. What some people could experience, what some people couldn't experience. We got Eren. He can't live and experience this world of freedom and peace for the time being. He can't live with Mikasa. That's why he broke down in the initial chapter. He broke down to Armin because like, I don't want her to find family. I want to be with Mikasa. I want, that's his girl. That's his love. That's his lover. So it's like, you have that. He can't experience that. Erwin, him seeking for the truth. He got his people to go do that, but he couldn't. He had to sacrifice himself for that. We've seen people that had certain titans, titan shifters. We see people like Marcel, just little shit like that. Marcel saving Reiner to ensure that he gets to keep on living. Whether or not it's good for Reiner or not, just like whether or not in the long run this is good or it pays off for them, it doesn't matter. The fact that they get to live, these characters get to live and get to have and fight for what they want, whether or not they achieve it or not, that's the most important part. And they still end up achieving this shit. It's just in the long run, shit happens because that's common human nature that's going to happen until everybody is destroyed. So would you want to see a story where everybody's just dead and destroyed? Because technically, if Eren were to, like I said, annihilate 100% of the rest of the world, they're going to die too. So literally no humans. Then the story would be definitely for nothing. For nothing at all. So once again, I want somebody to go in the comments. If you watch this whole video, I want you to debunk anything that I said, especially for this, because it doesn't change anything that I said from the initial chapter. It doesn't change a damn thing. Just like Isayama said himself, it doesn't change nothing. So technically, this additional pages was unnecessary. It was just showing people what is going on, what's going to transpire, but it doesn't make it worse or it doesn't make it better. It just reinforces and just gives off the same messages, the same notion of everything that happened in the initial chapter. Now, the one thing that I will say that I would wish that this chapter did show, if he did want to show new shit, was Armin's and Eren's conversation to extend that piece. That would have been, that's the one thing that I personally would have liked a lot more, because I feel like it jumped to the conversation a lot quicker when we first started it. But the Ymir part, I'll say that's probably the only part that really did add a little bit to her, just her reminiscing and thinking about what she could have done to prevent all of this, because she was somebody that was hopeless and powerless in that sense, and she didn't get to live a life where she even experienced the time to even get close to a point where she could have turned everything around. As we seen with our characters, they got that chance and they took it, and they got to do that, and it freed her. So she needed people to free her because she never got to that point for her to do it herself. That's why this whole story exists. So that's all I gotta say. So just let me know down below what you thought about the additional pages or initial chapter, really, because like I said, it doesn't change anything, really. It doesn't alter a damn thing. But just let me know what you guys think. If you agree or disagree with me, let me know down below. Obviously I should have said this earlier, but since this video is hella long, if you watched it for this long, thank you so much, because I just want to see what anybody has to say. If you agree or disagree with me, I just want to hear some stuff, so without further ado, I'll let you guys have a good one. Like I say in every video, please stay safe, stay healthy, stay clean. I'll see you all in the next video tomorrow for that My Hero Academia and for that Jujutsu Kaisen coming up on Sunday. So without further ado, I'll let you guys enjoy the rest of your day or night or wherever you are in the world. Just enjoy your day. So Sasage, yo, and peace.